Good morning and welcome to our weekly edition of Tourismus Namibia, our broadcast that we bring you each Saturday morning. Welcome to you all. My name is Frank Steffen. By now I think you know my name. I'm the editor of Tourismus Namibia and obviously of the Allgemeine Zeitung here in Windhoek in Namibia. Once again, we bring you topics. We've got a few destinations. I think we've actually got a very interesting destination package today, and then after that we come to the point. So before we go forward with the show, let's just quickly do a quick peek at the marketplace and then have a look at the topics. Right, topics. I've looked at 3 topics for this week again. Something that should be of interest to some of you. I would think it's important actually to know. There was always talk of the Ministry of Environment, Forestry and Tourism wanting to increase the park fees. Those are the basic access fees to various parks. And so since 1st April, these have actually come into effect. Mostly unbeknown to anybody, but so on the 8th of April, the ministry suddenly sent out a press release confirming that they are in fact increasing these fees. And yeah, this is obviously at the entrance gate to Skeleton Coast Park, but I've inserted a few other photos by Lothar Müller, Christine Wurst-Udezel and Erwin Leuschner, so just for you to have a look. Obviously this is part of what we do. But by the way, these fees are actually not unreasonable. They now consist of a park entrance fee and the conservation fee, but the total fee for Namibians, often children, are free of charge, whereas adults then pay anything between 50 and 100 Namibia dollars. In the case of foreign nationals, you often find that it is 100 Namibia dollars, which would roughly be around €5. I know that, for example, in the Sperrgebied National Park and Skeleton Coast, as well as Waterberg, it would go up to 150 Namibia dollars, which is more or less €7.50. So I think it's really reasonable. And what's important is that they say, given that Namibia's park entrance fees are currently one of the lowest in the SADC region, this is obviously the South African Development Community, and given the shortfall in resources needed to conserve wildlife and maintain infrastructure in national parks, the ministry is introducing payment of a conservation fee charged to all visitors to national parks and game parks, in addition to the existing park entrance fees. That's the one I spoke about. So it's a new thing, and what they've also said, Namibia has not adjusted or increased the park entrance fees since 2005. Now, I just hope that the increase is not just another way of earning some additional tax income, but is in fact dedicated and put aside so that these monies can actually be used to maintain something like the fence around Etosha National Park and those sort of areas where we seriously start having a problem with animals being able to leave the park without any fence holding them back. Now, in the case of lions, that invariably leads to human life and human-wildlife conflict. So let's hope that they get that one right. Up next, something I just wanted to share with you, Namib Sky Balloon Safaris. These were photos that they made available to Erwin Leuschner of the Allgemeine Zeitung, and it's just an incredible sight. You can actually see there, just go back one photo there. You can see there the sun is just rising. This is early in the morning as you would look from the west towards the eastern mountain range. That in the back would be the Naukluft mountain ranges. What you see at the bottom here is the Sesrim canyon. Sesrim obviously because of the 6 times whip length that you needed to draw water there. But this is a beautiful site. It really just shows from further up in the air how deep this thing, just that Sauchab actually just cuts into that sediment stone. So if we look at the next photo, this is like, it's a magic shot, because it's from one balloon down onto the other balloon, which you can see there, which is above the Sesrim Canyon. And yeah, it just feels unreal. It's a surreal picture, and I really enjoyed that, and I hope you enjoy it too. So those are the Namib Sky balloon safaris, and they made those photos available. And up next, yeah, I just had to include that. If you look at Soul is the Save Okavango's unique life. They've been very much involved in the process of opposing any gas and oil exploration in the north. This video here was taken by Wietke Schmidt when she was up in the north. Which really proves that there is wildlife, especially elephants up in the north. You know, where Recon Africa has been telling us that there is no wildlife. This was just one of her videos. She had a couple. And what Soul actually does is this week, today's the deadline for submitting complaints against the EIA that has been prepared by Recon Africa, who want to carry out seismic assessments of the area. And so what they say, if the activities are continued, the elephants in the region are exposed to a new threat. The activist organization has actually filed a complaint with the Namibian Ministry of Environment, Forestry and Tourism. Now this is becoming a serious issue because the MEFT has so far always enjoyed a very broad public support in Namibia. Yes, there were a couple of hiccups over the years, but generally you find that they were regarded as one of those ministries that are very well run. And this gas and oil exploration project by the Canadian oil production company Reconnaissance Energy Africa, Recon Africa as you would know, appears to be driving a significant wedge in that relationship between the public and the ministry. Because Sol, in actual fact, goes as far as accusing the ministry of allowing what they call a sham 8 working day consultation. And I partly get it. Recon Africa released a 1,000-page environmental impact study, and they released it right before the Easter weekend, thus minimizing any possibility of properly looking at that document, organizing meetings, doing a concerted effort in supplying an answer that makes sense. So I would think it is a bit unfair by Recon Africa to do it in such a short time, but I think it's inadequate that MEFT actually allows for just these 8 days. This might be what is theoretically allowed in the law, but you know, it's actually what they say here, you know. Just in time for the pandemic clouded or impacted Easter weekend with an entry deadline that ends on April 9th, despite the serious possible effects on humans and wildlife. So yeah, I think I need to agree with Sol. It's just not reasonable. It's an important issue and we need to be correct about these. I spoke to one of the people involved with elephant studies and so on, and he says he's not too sure that when you do seismic studies, whether that impact would be heard by the elephants, who obviously have a much better way of listening and hearing, and he wouldn't be surprised that these elephants are actually chased away because of that effect. So anyway, let's see. Today was supposed to be the deadline. Maybe, or actually not today, yesterday. So one can only hope that they get it right. That's our topics for today. Up next, nicer topic, destinations. We would like to give you a couple of holiday ideas. Yeah, you will remember some time ago we gave you a quick review of Namtip. Some of you might remember it as a lodge being down in the Tourismus Mountains. And not far from that is actually another lodge which I found very interesting. It's the Nkuse Desert Retreat, Kanaan. And as you can see there on the map that I copied for you, it's quite close to Helmeringhausen. I think it's actually just 70 kilometers more or less away from Helmeringhausen. So in the middle of the southern Namib, you can see it's really the desert belt that starts right in front of their doors, because you will see that the Tourismus Mountains actually they're right on here on that map. You can see it very nicely. These are the Tourismus Mountains, and on the left you can see the first dunes. This is beautiful area. Like I said when we spoke about Namtip. Namtip is basically just further to the southeast on this picture, just across from the other mountain range there, the lower mountain range that you see there. So Kanaan, yeah, a very nice retreat if you would like to explore it. We've prepared a little video for you to have a look yourself. Yeah, these are actually pictures that we got out to show you. It's obviously clearly marked as you go there. And you can see there are different ways in which you can get involved there. So there are a couple of activities. I just love this thing. I hope they're not going too fast. These were pictures made available by Nkuse. So this is just to show you what they have to offer. Not everybody is a desert person, but I actually appreciate the desert for what it is and what it actually has to offer. And it's crazy to imagine that you would have coffee with this type of food right in front of you. I mean, this is being spoiled by any standard. But obviously it's not only about eating and drinking, but that obviously is what makes it worthwhile visiting the place as well. There you can see the people will always welcome you with some fresh water, cold water, and make no mistake, when you drive in those hot desert reaches, it's actually quite nice to enter into a bit of shade. These are the sort of luxury tents that they've put up there, so very nice as far as I'm concerned. Clearly you can have a decent night's rest there after some heavy driving during the day, because it is far and it is very hot in that area. And so Nkuse actually goes out of their way to give you that natural feel there. I mean, this is really, it fits in nicely with nature there. So perfect for anybody to enjoy well, a weekend out, or possibly go there on an extended leave. You're basically in the desert. Now these are camping sites, so you can actually put up your tent as well as your I suppose you could even park your car in the shade depending on how you're organized. But in other words, you will still be able to sort of get away from the immediate heat. And if you look on this picture, you'll actually see there's solar geysers, so you'll still be able to have some hot water and the basic amenities that are nice to have even in the desert. And they obviously drive you around on various game drives, and you would not think so, but like I said earlier, the Namib is just crazy sometimes in what it does and in what it maintains in terms of fauna and flora. And so obviously you can go on walking trails. I would always advise you to do that quite early in the morning or late in the evening. And even riding, I would be quite sure that you shouldn't go too late in the day, because you might find that it's quite a hot experience. But obviously you can see this is like Namabrand, so there is still some vegetation to be seen there. And this is obviously crazy to see these animals at Namabrand. Beautiful creatures. Never run away from them, rather stand, because they just love hunting. Here you can see they start getting interested. It's a really beautiful picture, this. Almost looks like your little kitty cat at home, but I would advise that you don't play with them. Yeah, and this is like, I just thought to just give you an idea of what it would look like as you approach the evening. This is obviously a photographer's paradise by any standard. And once again, you can see it fits in nicely with nature. And here you can see in the back, it gives you an idea of what your sky actually has to offer. This is pure Namibian quality. I mean, there's no doubt about it. And then obviously in the lodge you will be treated to a couple of drinks. Sundowners are probably favored, especially if you look at this sort of environment. This is huge. This I just found a magic photo. Yeah, very beautiful. I just had to add that last video that was supplied by Nkuse, because I just feel this is a magic place, and it's something different. We always try to show you what's happening in the north and what's happening in the south, obviously center as well. So that's why you'll always see that we jump around between somewhere hot in the south and then maybe more cool up in the north. But we have quite extensively covered the areas up in the north, so I'm concentrating a bit more on the center of Namibia at the moment. And it is the center that we actually will be concentrating on today, Erongo, the Erongo Mountains. If you look at the map more or less, from further up, this is a Google copy that I made, and clearly you can see it almost looks like a volcano that's sort of dried up or basically stopped being active over many years ago. So you see there Aiba up in the northwest as opposed to Erongo Plateau Camp. And then further down to the south you would now have Hohenstein and you would have Amaip. They were unfortunately cut off a bit because we had to make fit the photo. Just on the top, on the right hand side, you will see Omaruru. That gives you more or less an idea how close it is all. So if we go to the next slides, you will see that, I just tried to show you quickly. This is at Aiba, obviously magic places that they take you to. And there's even another photo, I think, of theirs. Here you can see sort of that area, and typically now with these magic rains that we've had this year, that area is simply unbelievably beautiful now. So up next you would have Amaip, for example. This is where you've got the Bulls Party. You will remember that last time Chloe, or some time back, Chloe and I still spoke about this thing. it's called Bull's Party, but I'm not always sure whether it should be called Giant's Playground more, because it's unreal, these huge rocks being strewn, and you can see there on the bench just how huge these things are, and they lie in the middle of nowhere as if somebody has put them there for some purpose unbeknown to us. Yes, and then obviously Erongo lodges to be found in that area, and typically here or anywhere that you go on these lodges, you will find that very often they've got some very fine rock art. And then you've got Erongo rocks up next. You will see there, this is where they treat you. It's beautiful. It's something totally different. It's something you wouldn't expect there in the middle of nowhere. And they, in fact, also have very nice campsites. Once again, these were the sort of campsites that Chloe told us about in the past. And then I just, for good measure, put in a picture of Hohenstein Lodge. This is the sort of surrounding that you see. This is typical Erongo sort of scene from the outside. As you approach it, I would say from the southwest, more or less. This is obviously a nice sundowner photo, I'm sure, which they prepared. And yeah, you can actually see where they are situated. Like I said, they're on the sort of southwestern point of the Erongo. And then just another photo of Umandumba. They also show you rock art. And why I'm showing you all of this is Erongo has an immense offer in terms of what you can do. Really, you just need to Google or read about, and you will see there's something for every person, for every person's private style, the way that you would prefer it. So yeah. So I spent some time at Erongo Plateau Camp during Easter, and we compiled this little video clip for you. Yeah, it is part of the farm is called Eileen, and it's the Kaiser couple that are there. This is still on the way to that farm. But this is typical Erongo as you cross it over as you enter into the conservancy from the side of the Spitzkopje and then go towards Omaruru. And this is more or less on the height where Aiba is and where Erongo Rocks is found. So this is more in the middle. This is now the Plateau Park, and this is the type of camping site that you get. Immensely clean, a huge amount of effort made for you, and there are 4 camping sites. 2 camping sites share ablution blocks, but these ablution blocks, I tell you what, you can eat from that floor. It is perfectly clean, it's perfectly maintained, and this is my my little doggy, Zwiebel we call her. She was allowed to come along, and he too. Calypso, and this is the nice thing. I'm somebody who loves taking my dogs along on this sort of thing, and it's nice to see that most of these lodges actually do allow that. But it's obviously important that you clear that up before. These were actually trails that we walked. Imagine, this is a trail. Don't make a mistake, it's not always easy walking as shown there, but the point that I was trying to make is that the trails are very clearly marked. I mean, there's simply no way that you should get lost on that. So kudos to Erongo Plateau Park, really very nice. These are the sort of views that you have there. It's crazy how far you can look there. And the funny part is you are actually much further on top of the Erongo. This is really, the plateau actually is what you look at here, because from that plateau down to the lower parts is still quite a... My wife would obviously love me if she knew that I'd included her in here, but I did that just to show how big these trees actually become there. So this is in the middle of Erongo, really. I think the mistake that many people make is you see Erongo from far and you think it's a sort of minor mountain range. It is all but. It's a huge mountain range. And I know that there are people who actually go there to do some serious rock climbing. So that was Erongo, just to freshen up your memory and to maybe just tell you what is out there. We had an immensely good time, and like I said, everything that you need is there. Obviously, it's camping. We went for camping now, so you need to bring the right stuff along. But there was sufficient water. There was, like I said, it was really clean, and that's what I loved. The ablution blocks and the camping sites were something out of this world. So really well done to Erongo Plateau Camp, and I can really tell you, if you want to go and do some easy camping, that is really it. And still, you had a magic view. This photo is one of the photos I took there. You can see there was a lot of, it was quite humid when we were there, but nevertheless, you can still see as far as you would ever think you can. So those are the two destinations, Nkuse and then Erongo this week. Up next, we've got To the Point. Yeah, people always have different opinions about how conservation should be managed and what is the ideal answer to everything. And I think it's really a case of everybody must decide themselves. So what I did this week is, while we were talking of Nkuse, which we obviously showed as a destination, what I didn't show you there was that they are actually involved with a serious spotted hyena research project. And so if you have a look at this video now, you know, they actually collar these animals and study them. So if you look at their internet site, they actually explain there the Kanaan, this is at Kanaan, as I said earlier. The Kanaan research program is focused on researching the spotted hyena of the Namib Desert. The aims of our study are to identify population dynamics, prey preferences, and spatial ecology. These findings are used to refine conflict mitigation methods between carnivores and farmers who report problems with spotted hyenas. And you can see here some of the footage is obviously by pure chance. It's typically you suddenly have the opportunity to actually make a video of the animal in the evening, because I'm quite sure this is a plain torch and there's a cell phone that was used, a mobile phone used to make these video clips. So with the findings that the research on spotted hyenas produces, Nkuse aims to update the population density and distribution maps of spotted hyenas in southwest Namibia. Now you will remember that these hyenas, or not these only, but hyenas in general, were often seen as the main cause for the loss of our desert horses. And it is so. But on the other hand, we also need to remember that they are still part of our ecology, and I dare say they were here first. So we need to look after them as much as we look after our desert horses. And I find this quite heartening that Nkuse is really making an effort of really preserving even such an animal. It might be a cruel animal, but it is needed in our ecology just like any other. These ones I found just beautiful. These are actually cubs. And you can clearly see they're much more inquisitive than I suppose the older ones are. And yeah, this project, by the way, is facilitated not only by Nkuse, it is also it's generally it's funded by Colchester Zoo, and so there are quite a number of people who take interest in this. And so these GPS collars obviously cost a lot of money, and the whole project costs a lot. But this is just beautiful. This is so typically, this could be a little dog. And obviously they're much more aggressive, even though it might still be a very small dog at this stage. So anyway, I just thought this was worth pointing out as well, because I think to the point that it does not really only have to look at those things that stand out as negative, but things like these are nice to tell you about. And I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did. That brings us to the end of our show today. So I'll be seeing you next week, same time, same place. Until then, remain healthy and keep yourself safe. Bye.